What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about if Brian will return in Fast and Furious 10. So I've done this for a couple different characters. We talked about Giselle, a personal favorite of mine, and one that I really do want very, very highly to come back, and I do think, honestly, the odds are okay. Mr. Nobody being the villain, we've talked about him as well before, this is a sensitive topic. There's honestly no other way of saying it, and that sensitivity is a big reason why, it is a topic in the first place, right? So, look, I'll say this, and I've said this on Twitter in different ways as well, but to put it verbally, I respect everybody who says they want nothing to do with Brian in future movies. Like, if you ask a fan, you say, do you want Brian? They say, no, absolutely not. Like, that's disrespectful, all that kind of stuff. Like, I see nothing wrong with it. I completely get where they're coming from. I think it's maybe hypocritical. Maybe it's not. I'm not going to give necessarily examples, so maybe you can't call me a hypocrite. But I am sure if you quizzed me on other examples, where a situation like this has happened, I may say, no, leave them alone. Leave them alone. There's no need to bring them back, stuff like that. So I kind of spoiled my answer in that I do think it's morally okay to bring him back, and more to that, I do think he will be back in these movies. It's not a guarantee because I don't like doing guarantees, and that's probably a horrible idea. But I would say if you ask me point blank right now, the odds I believe of them CGIing him back, whether they're using his brother or whatever, right? Like his real life brother, I think is very, very likely. I really do. And I think the ending, which we will spoil in just a second, so if you don't want to know the ending of F9, turn away now. The ending, I think, really, you could say a couple things about it. I do think it's the hint, though, that it's going to happen. That's my personal opinion. So I guess to finish off the sensitive part, and then we can talk about how it would make sense in the movies and stuff like that, or why they would do it. To clarify the sensitive part, maybe it's unwise to trust Hollywood and trust people that work in Hollywood, but I get the sense, I really do, and this could be wrong, but I get the sense that Vin Diesel really does know what Paul would want. Paul Walker was always very high on these movies. He was always very respectful of them. And people have pointed out multiple times, like he did talk about, the movies continuing. Like he wanted them to continue, all of that stuff. Like he has a high respect for all of this stuff. I also really, while Vin Diesel singing and stuff like that, like in the award show, maybe it was a little odd. Maybe you don't do that. But again, that's completely up to him. I believe in my heart that he has Paul Walker's best interests at heart. There's a lot of hearts going around, right? But I that's just an opinion. I mean, it very well could not be true. But I really do get the sense that Justin Lin probably does as well. The entire main executives probably do. But again, more than the executives, more than the people that make the money decisions, I really think Justin Lin would do it respectfully, and I really think Vin Diesel would do it respectfully, and not even just do it respectfully, but has Paul Walker's intentions at heart. I really do. You could say you don't buy it or you don't believe it or whatever, but even when Vin Diesel says he feels that Paul Walker sent them John Cena, you know what I mean? There's some people that are just gonna flat out not believe Vin Diesel. They're not gonna believe that kind of spirituality thing, and all of that stuff is fine. All of that stuff is completely okay if you don't believe it. I really get the sense though that he believes, whether or not it's true, I think he believes it, and that's really all that matters. So, in terms of sensitivity, in terms of just being careful about it, I understand why people wouldn't want it. I understand leaving the past, and he's not around, and to CG him and all that stuff. I mean, it would be tough. It's a tough thing to do, but I really think if they did it, they believe with all of their hearts that it was the right thing to do, and I do not think they would do it in some sort of tactless way, right? I think they would do it the best way they possibly can. You can call F9 stupid, and it's stupid fun, stuff like that, but I really do think they care, okay, about certain things. I think they care about certain things, and I think with a Paul Walker thing, or bringing Brian back, I think they would do it right. Now, in terms of will he come back, yes. My answer, I believe, is totally yes. How and in what capacity? I really think it'll be something very simple as, well, there's a couple ways they could do it. I could imagine them literally leaving him alone, and then at 11, like F11, not the time, doing a barbecue, a family picnic at the end, and he is in it, where he maybe says something, but he's got like one or two sentences of a line, but you do visibly see him, like from top to bottom, you see him. Okay, I think that's likely no matter what. Okay, I guess going on so that's one side of the spectrum. The other side of the spectrum would he be like a main character? Absolutely not. So I very much don't believe that, right? He's not going to be in every scene. He's not going to have multiple lines of dialogue. No matter what they do with him, I think he would have a limited role. The only other option, in my opinion, would be kind of almost what they did at certain parts of 7, maybe reversed, where like he's talking to Mia on the phone, right? And he's kind of saying his goodbyes, and he's saying that he loves her, which, by the way, those are very powerful scenes in 7, I personally believe. But they could reverse it, where he could so again, like there's the two extremes. He's not in it at all, except for like the ending picnic, where he's got a couple lines and you see his face. I think that happens no matter what. But then it's, okay, well, do you do that and having him be throughout the entire movie? No, you don't have him be in the entire movie. Do you have the picnic or the barbecue, and then also like 2 to 4 scenes throughout the movie, a couple minutes long? You see his face. Maybe sometimes you don't. Maybe you see like the back of his head. It's like, it's audio. You get to hear his voice. Do they do that? I think that one is also more likely. I could see either or. I could see them doing that in like, well, I don't even know. Like, do you do that in 10? I really don't think you probably do that in 10. Maybe in 11, you do it in a couple scenes, and then you have the ending, or they just have the ending. But either way, I really do. I think it's going to happen. I think it makes sense. I also think that, like, looking at, so again, you can take it as seriously or non-seriously as you want these movies, but, like, it made sense why Mia was in 9 while Brian wasn't. At the same time, it also didn't, because it's like, well, if Paul Walker was alive and Brian was a real character, and they really say they did it anyway, say they retired them, and they did an 8 where they're like, no, we're just not gonna bring these guys in, we want them to live their life. In 9, would Brian actually let Mia do this without showing himself at all, without helping, right? Again, you can take it as seriously or not as you want, but I would ask myself that question. I guess I buy it for now, but if they do the same thing in 10 and 11, where Mia, I'm fine with that. Jordana she's awesome. I love her in these movies. I love Mia in general. So I'll take her in 10 and 11, and she will be in 10 and 11. But it's like, well, every time you do that, you have to give a reason now why Brian's not there. And an easy answer is he's watching over the 2 kids, and then maybe, Dom's kid as well. So like, maybe that's the reason, but I mean, that's just, if you do that 3 movies in a row, it would, and I think they will, like, I think that will be what it is, but to not show him or talk to him on the phone or anything like that, that would be kind of annoying. I think that would be kind of stupid. Maybe even if you're going to do that, maybe come up with just another reason entirely why he's not a part of it. You know what I mean? And again, I guess the last thing to say is the ending of 9. So like, again, for those that saw it, or, if you don't care, right? His car pulls up. They mention him. They say like he's coming. They don't say Brian, but they say like he is. And then that he's pulling up, and they're all looking at him. They're smiling and they're looking at him, but you don't obviously see him. In my opinion, that I think very much is setting up what they eventually want to do. Maybe you could even argue it's testing the waters. You know what I mean? Where it's like, okay, he's not in 8 at all. We mentioned him. We mentioned Brian Mia one time. That's it. In 9, they actually didn't mention Brian by name, right? That Dom said, like, the kids are in the safest hands, that they could be in. And I think maybe Letty said, like, Brian. So they didn't mention his name, but, they imply literally he showed up to the house to have dinner with them, right? That's very close to him being back. Like, that's as close literally as you get, because he's in the scene without being in the scene. And so again, in my opinion, that was almost like a test, but that was just so close where it's like, okay, we're willing to do it. We're past the point of acknowledging he's still there. We're even going to show that he goes to like barbecues with them. You know what I mean? So like, we're at that point. We are literally one step away from seeing him. You know what I mean? And that's where we're at. At the end, no matter what happens in 10 or 11, we are at that point right now. So I think the odds are pretty high that Justin, and I don't know if he's talked about this. I haven't seen any interviews with it, at least right now. But I don't know. Maybe he's thinking in his head, okay, this is the test phase. We want to start to introduce this. We're going to do it respectfully. Which, by the way, I think the way they did it in 9 is really good. So if they keep that in mind and they elevate it a little bit more in 10 and 11, I have no problems with it. So we'll have to see. Again, obviously there's some sensitivity there, and I understand that. I think they understand it, but I really do think they have the best intentions at their hearts for all of this. I really, really do. So let me know in the comments below, guys. What do you think? Do you think Brian's coming back? Do you think he's not? Let me know. As always, make sure you guys are subscribed, bell icon turned on, leave a like. It would definitely help this video out. I've done a lot of other Fast and Furious videos over the past couple days if you guys want to check those out as well. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on the next video.